Well, hi there, and welcome. Yeah, I know, you guys have been wanting this back for quite a while, but yeah, we're having the SCP versus 40k fights! Let's get it on! For those wondering what the hell that was me explaining to you that we are back with the SCP versus 40k fights. And not in that short-term content, this is long-term content, so be advised. Shit might go off the rails pretty goddamn quickly. That being said, we actually are going to take one of your guys' comments that you guys surely posted because I found it quite interesting, which was SCP-4715, also known as the Demon Born from War, versus Skarbrand, the bastard child of Khorne who got his shit rocked. Okay, first off, the guy wrote Skarbrand, not Skarbrand. So my brain just kept saying Skarbrand. I apologize. So yeah, this is future already. Also, apologies for the future. I kind of screwed up on a couple other things. Please don't take anything to heart with it. I'm gonna try to edit it in post, but don't be surprised if I don't. Continue. That being said, I say that this is probably one of the more interesting fights because both of them are pretty identical in the sense of things. That being said, I need to stop for a second and talk about today's sponsor, which is Folkart. For those that don't know, Folkart I actually like, and I'm actually giving them a shout out because the simple truth is they're awesome. They have really good matte, even metallic, and recently I found out they also make glow in the dark, which is amazing and really good for doing this type of stuff. Honestly, they make really good paints and they make really good stuff. Hell, even just a little bit of time and effort and you get yourself this beautiful custodian. I know that he looks a little bit ragged and a little bit weird, but the thing is, it's just really good artwork and really good paint for painting. So if you really want to try out and get your stuff today, I'll leave a link in the description to the Amazon store where you can actually purchase all of this stuff. Thank you for watching, and also don't forget to leave a like and a subscribe, and go check these guys out, because they're a small company, and they're just trying to make buy. That being said, thank you so much for watching, and now, back to the video. Thank you, past me! Anyways, talking to you guys right now, we need to talk about what's going to happen and how these 40k versus SCP fights are going to go on. Or SCP versus 40k if you want to be lethargical. But anyways, with that being said, this is how the ranking system is going to work thus far going forward. First off, we're going to be using 5 types of measurements. We're going off of strength, toughness, intelligence, battle IQ, and minions. There will be 3 fights that we put these guys up against each other. 1 outside the warp, 1 inside the warp, and 1 a battle of attrition on favorable ground. Basically neutral ground that's somewhere in between, in and out of the warp. That being said, I should also talk about the point system. Now, when it comes to 1 through 10, when I talk about it, 5 is a basic normal human being from our world. More or less just an average Joe, intelligence, battle IQ, and something of that nature. If there's anything else, it can increase and decrease depending on certain aspects and certain things that happen. 10 is more or less you're basically that of a demigod or god. 1 is you are that weak that it's not even worth mentioning. That being said, we should move on, and right now we're going to be talking about SCP-4715, also known as the Demon Born from War.
Hey, which one of y'all niggas lacking, dog?
Nigga, I ain't lacking.
Huh? What's up?
Shit, I ain't never lacking, cuz. Shit, what's happening?
SCP-4715, also known as the Demon Born of War, or I'm going to call him from now on the Demon, is more or less just an entity that is a demon. It's a demon that feeds off of violence, tendencies, and other natures. It looks like a feline cat form with 2 sets of arms, 1 set of legs, and a tail with horns that of a ram or some type of fawn-type creature, with its facial features and most of its head looking that of a cat. It has 7 fingers on one hand and 3 on another, and has what appears to be elephant-type feet, with its tail being that more resembling that of a giant lizard. It is heavily durable, heavily able to take damage, and actually can survive in extreme heats, colds, and in acid. That being said, it does have an immersion to basically pepper spray, which is kind of weird when you think about it. However, it does have the ability to do some things, which we're going to get to right after this. When it comes to strength of this creature, we're going to put it at a 5 to 10. The reason being, it can get stronger during a fight, and it's also impossible to measure because it can go from the size of a normal, say, average man to the size of a kaiju in the middle of a fight, which is quite interesting. That being said, when it comes to toughness, again, it can survive extreme heat, cold, and even acid and certain firearms up to a certain degree, which needs to be the size of, well, a Gustav cannon in order to actually do damage to it, which that gives its toughness around an 8.6 out of 10 for a couple reasons which we'll get into. Now, when it comes to intelligence, it has had an IQ test which is similar to that of chimpanzees, which means that its intelligence, though, is probably going to be looking at a 3 out of 10. That being said, its battle IQ is where it shines at an 8 out of 10. This thing is made for war. It was designed for war. So battling wise, it is a genius on the battlefield. Now, when it comes to its minions, on the other hand, oh boy. When it comes to minions, it's got a goose egg. It's worse. It doesn't really have any minions. It's a solo act. But that actually helps and hurts it in the end. The more violence or more anger or more hatred towards it, the more powerful it gets. Yeah. Remember when I said that its strength is between a 5 or a 10? It's because if there is peace around it, it becomes as strong as a normal human being. But once dropped into a battlefield, it could literally become unstoppable, to the point where it is extremely unable to be defeated. That being said, I'd have to say this is the overall stats for this creature, and we're gonna move on because Skarbrand's next, and gee, many Christmas, we gotta talk about the guy who tried to fight Khorne and lost.
Better scramble like an egg before you get folded like an omelet, nigga.
Ooh, that brother's floating in the air. How could his hands do this? Oh, someone get him out the air.
Skarbrand, one of the most powerful of the Bloodletters, basically overshot and overdid his shit and more or less got his ass handed to him by Khorne.
Oh! Somebody! Oh! He needs some milk!
That being said, his strength is pretty powerful. This man was actually able to take on 10,000 of his peers and still come out on top. He also got 2 majorly badass axes. When it comes to his strength, though, I gotta give it a 9 out of 10. This dude is a powerhouse. Remember those axes I talked about? Well, they actually have specific powers. If he defeats an enemy, he gains their strength. It's a 9 out of 10, or it can be a 10 out of 10 on occasion. It depends on the battle. Toughness-wise, this man has taken a punishment and beaten from Khorne himself and survived. I gotta give the man an 8.5 out of 10. He did succumb to it, and he did become a little bit of a psychopath because of it, but at the end of the day, he's still him, and he still knows he's strong. Intellect-wise, he's that of a normal human being, so a 5 out of 10, I wouldn't be too surprised. Battle IQ. Again, he took on 10,000 of people that were of his same station and came out on top. This man's got a 9 out of 10 when it comes to battle IQ. When it comes to minions, though, he actually does have a good set of army, which means I gotta give it to him. He's got a 7 out of 10 due to the fact that he's actually able to summon demons to aid him in fighting. Which, again, in a major fight, that's good, but with his current opposition, that's not a good plan. But hey, that's neither here nor there. Now, moving on. Let's get straight into the fights. When it comes to outside the warp, I gotta give it to the SCP side of things, because, come on, Skarbrand, you're fighting an entity that gets stronger the more you fight, and you can't use your cheats on your axes in order to win this fight. Yeah, you're gonna have a bad time. When it comes to inside the warp, I gotta give it to Skarbrand. Skarbrand, you got this, my guy. Reason being, he is going to get a nice boost because he's inside the warp and he doesn't need to focus on keeping himself in a material form. That being said, I still say this is a tough fight due to the fact, again, he's not going to be able to use his axe's abilities to keep himself more power. That being said, he is strong enough that he can continuously keep this fight going. It's just going to be tough for the guy. Now, when it comes to a battle of attrition on neutral ground with both in and out of warp abilities, ooh boy, you're not gonna like this one. This one's actually a really close fight, and I gotta say, this is pretty fucking close. But Skarbrand is losing. I hate to tell you this, but Skarbrand is going to lose this fight for a majority of reasons, due to the fact that, well, Skarbrand's basically bringing fuel to a fire and not able to put it out. He's more or less giving more energy to the demon of war, and it's just going to keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger to the point where he's not going to be able to defeat it. It's the equivalency of him trying to fight Korn again. You're literally in a dimensionary area where that man has all the strength that you have and more, and you're gonna fight him? ¿Por qué? Are you fucking stupid? But hey, that's just me. That being said, I do say that this was probably one of the more interesting fights that I actually got to put together. Thank you to the Boris. I believe I'm saying that right. If I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry. It's just, I'm not good with names, and it is what it is. That being said, I want to say thank you guys to all the members that joined in the past couple days, including the ones that got some gifted subs, gifted memberships from a couple of people. That being said, again, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like and subscribe. And also comment down below. Who do you think should have a fight next? And with that being said, again, thank you so much for watching. And as always, remember, for the Emperor!